Sergey Kovalev and Andre Ward are two fighters who really need each other at this stage in their careers and in the situations they're both currently in. Sergey Kovalev, as we know, is a very exciting fighter. But the problem is he's not based in his home country of Russia. He's based in the United States, where he has next to no fans. This is why he's traveling to Jean Pascal's backyard twice to fight the guy in Canada, because he doesn't have a fan base big enough in the United States to warrant having the fight there. On top of that problem for Kovalev is also the fact that he's on HBO and he's with a small promoter in Cafe Duva. HBO don't have many light heavyweights. So what's Sergey Kovalev going to do? Recycle his old opponents? He's got nowhere to go. A deal can't be worked out for him to fight Stevenson. Obviously, Stevenson's not a HBO fighter, so he's stuck on HBO with Cafe Duva with no decent opponents to fight. Now, Andre Ward is in a similar type situation. Ward is not an exciting fighter at all. And because of that, he's got virtually no fans outside of his hometown, really, Oakland, or at the very least outside of Northern California or California in general. Ward's got no fans, despite the fact that he's an unbeaten former Olympian and world champion and pound for pound level fighter. Guy's got no fans outside of his hometown. So he at the moment needs somebody to take him to the next level in boxing in terms of the type of money that he wants to earn, the type of events he wants to be in. So he needs Sergey Kovalev. He can't make 168 anymore. That's why he's moving up. And he himself is tied to HBO. So he's unlikely to get a fight with Stevenson or any of the guys over there. So it's a no-brainer, really. Kovalev and Ward have to fight each other at 175. There's nowhere else for either of them to go. There's no other fight that's available to either of them at this point in time, which is going to generate them any money, any serious money. So they have to fight each other. They need each other right now. Kovalev has already said that, well, he said he wants to knock Andre Ward out in front of Andre Ward's home crowd. But what that really means is he's more than willing to fight Andre Ward in Oakland because he knows that's where they're going to sell most tickets for the fight, because he don't have a fan base in the United States. So he's going to go towards hometown and fight him there because they're going to sell out. It might not necessarily be in Oakland. Maybe they'll find a bigger venue if they think they can fill out a bigger venue, but it will most likely be somewhere in California, maybe the StubHub, somewhere there. It's possible that it will go to Vegas, but either way, they don't want it to be somewhere too far away for Andre Ward's fans to travel. That's what it's going to be about. So they definitely need each other. As far as how I see the fight going, I've talked about this in previous videos, but at this point in time, I would lean towards Kovalev winning the fight. I wasn't overly impressed with how Ward looked against Barrera. I feel like I agree with what most people are saying in terms of Ward looking a bit slower. And maybe it's the extra weight of moving up. Maybe it's the extra weight combined with ring rust. That's why he's looking a bit slower. I've also voiced my concern about his right shoulder. He wasn't throwing the right hand anywhere near as much against Barrera as he was against Paul Smith. And obviously Barrera is a much better opponent than Paul Smith. But still, once he had the fight under control against Barrera, you would have thought that he would have started throwing the right hand more. But to me, it was conspicuous by its absence. And as some very informed individuals in the comment section to my previous video about Andre Ward mention soft tissue injuries not only don't heal as well as bone injuries tend to heal, but they also take longer to heal than bone injuries. And I don't feel that Andre Ward's right shoulder will ever be 100%. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just how I feel. I don't feel like it's ever going to be 100%. And a savvy opponent is going to look at that shoulder and say, you know what? I'm going to try and hurt his shoulder. I'm not going to try and even aim for his head. I'm going to try and aim for that shoulder. He's shy to throw the right hand. I'm going to try and jab him to that shoulder. And any of you who have been watching Sergey Kovalev, which I'm sure pretty much all of you have, Kovalev has got a terrifically strong jab. Sergey Kovalev has a pretty relaxed style. He is a bit on the upright side, but he's got a fairly relaxed style. His limbs are nice and loose, and he throws his shots in a very natural, smooth fashion. So even when he looks like he's not trying to land with power, somehow he's still landing with power. He's dropping guys with jabs to the body. He's done that on at least one occasion. I think on a couple of occasions. He certainly hurt Pascal in the rematch a few times with just jabs to the body. This guy is an extremely hard puncher, and I think he is far and away the hardest puncher that Andre Ward will have ever faced, professional or amateur. Okay, I don't know everybody that Andre Ward's fought as an amateur, but I can't imagine that he's faced, too many, if any, that punched anything like Sergey Kovalev. I don't buy this rubbish that Jean Pascal was coming out with, saying that Carl Froch hits harder than Kovalev. I think Pascal was just saying that to try and give himself confidence and as a show of defiance against Kovalev. I think that's why he was saying that. Because after the Kovalev rematch, he apparently told Freddie Roach, Kovalev's power was just overwhelming. I just couldn't handle it. He wasn't saying that after the Carl Froch fight. So, no, I don't think Carl Froch's power or Kessler's power or Abraham's power is anywhere near what Sergey Kovalev's power is like. And that power that Kovalev has really is a game changer. If you can't deal with his power, I don't care how skillful you are. Bernard Hopkins is a very skillful fighter. I know he's an old man, but he's very skillful, very experienced, very wily. Once he felt Kovalev's power, Hopkins stayed in his shell. He knew what time it was. He knew that he couldn't take the type of risks against Kovalev that he was taking against other fighters, because he couldn't afford to get cracked. He found that out very, very early on when he hit the canvas against Kovalev. So that power really keeps most of Kovalev's opponents in their shell. They're afraid to try things once they feel how heavy this guy's hands are. They're very wary. And could it be the same with Andre Ward? Very possibly. Very, very possibly. Andre Ward did get away, as I say, without taking anything really at all from people like Kessler and Froch and whatnot. And that is a very difficult thing to do. Let's not undersell Andre Ward's skill set here. How many people can go through a fight with Carl Froch, who is an aggressive, hard-punching, offensively minded fighter? How many people can go through 12 rounds with Carl Froch and barely take any clean punches at all? That's not easy to do, people. That's very hard to do. But Andre Ward did it. So that just shows you. And he, the same with most of the guys that he's fought. He's not taking any clean punches from these guys. And most of the fights are going 12 rounds. That's extremely difficult to do. Kovalev's not doing that with his opponents. So Andre Ward is definitely the more defensively blessed of the two between Kovalev and Ward. Ward is definitely better defensively. And offensively, I think he's got more wrinkles to his game as well. He certainly don't have the power that Kovalev has, but I think he is more sneaky, a better counter puncher, and if need be, he can go on the inside and push his opponent back and get physical and out-slick them on the inside as well. He can do that too. So I think he's definitely a more versatile fighter than Kovalev all round, and I think he has better skills all round. But Kovalev is pretty skilled too. I mean, there's nothing spectacular, but he's pretty skilled, and that power that he has, when he has a decent level of skill, when you combine it with his extraordinary power, he's going to be a very difficult guy for anybody at light heavyweight to beat. Never mind just Andre Ward. Anybody, Beterbiev, Stevenson, and Beterbiev and Stevenson can both hit tremendously hard. And incidentally, Gabriel Campillo, who has fought both Stevenson and Beterbiev, he actually said Beterbiev hits harder. Sorry, not Stevenson and Beterbiev, who's fought both Kovalev and Beterbiev. He actually said that Beterbiev hits harder than Kovalev. But he said Kovalev is the better boxer, and if Kovalev and Beterbiev fought, he expects Kovalev to beat Beterbiev. He was more impressed with Kovalev's skills, but he said Beterbiev hit harder, which is pretty frightening that Beterbiev is even harder than Kovalev, because Kovalev already hits ridiculously hard for a light heavyweight. But yeah, back to the point. It's interesting matching up Kovalev and Ward in terms of their abilities. And I just want to go back to something I said previously about Kovalev. I mentioned that to me, he looked uncomfortable at a certain stage in Nathan Cleverly fight. And somebody commented below the video and they said, oh, that was an easy fight for Kovalev. I don't know what you're talking about, Hatman. Well, some people just don't notice the subtleties. They don't notice the telltale signs in a fighter's body language. Go watch that fight before Kovalev hurts Cleverly for the first time. Kovalev, I'm telling you, he's looking uncomfortable. In fact, even one of the commentators picked up on it at the time. I could just tell by his body language, and he's looking at the referee, and he looks agitated. And when he eventually hurt Cleverly, I could see the relief in Kovalev's body language. He seemed relieved, because Kovalev is one of those kind of guys who is used to having a cushion. And what I mean by that is his power gives him space. His power prevents his opponents from being up in his grill and up in his face and putting pressure on him. Once they feel that power, they're like, let me just back up a little bit here. They don't get too ambitious. But Cleverly was up in his face. He was blocking Kovalev's power shots, and he was still coming forward and looking confident. And I'm telling you right now, there was moments there where Kovalev started to look uneasy about the way the fight was going. He didn't like the fact that Cleverly wasn't backing off and Cleverly was still trying to be up in his face, throwing shots. He didn't like that. He's a guy that is used to people giving him that respect because of his power. It was the same when Mike Tyson fought Evander Holyfield, when he fought Buster Douglas. He wasn't used to a guy, not being afraid of him and not giving him that distance that he needs to work, not giving him that type of respect. Once he had somebody pushing him back and imposing their will on him, Tyson didn't know how to cope with it. And I really believe that Kovalev, maybe I'm wrong, I've said this before, but the telltale signs I've seen, I think Kovalev is going to be similar to Tyson. I honestly do. I wouldn't be surprised if Kovalev is even one of those kind of guys who, if you really stick it on him and you're hurting him and putting him under serious pressure to the point where he's starting to wonder if he's actually going to win the fight or not, I think if somebody manages to put him in that position, I wouldn't be surprised if Kovalev, like Tyson, is somebody that would try to foul to get themselves out of a fight. I know that's a big statement. I might end up being wrong. That might never manifest. But I just feel that type of character that Kovalev is, like a Mike Tyson, somebody that's mean, but who's really a bully. I don't know. I'm not saying Kovalev... Look, I'm not saying Mike Tyson didn't have heart. Okay? I'm not saying Kovalev don't have heart, but I just feel like I don't know how he's going to cope when somebody can take what he has to give and keeps coming at him. You know, when Denis Lebedev, for example, fought Guillermo Jones was putting it on Lebedev, and Lebedev just took it. You know, he wasn't trying to get out of the fight or anything like that. He just took his beating. I don't think if Kovalev was in a position like that he would just take it like that. I think he would try and do something dirty or slick or whatever to try and either get control of the fight again or get himself disqualified. You know, I don't know. I'm interested in the psychology of human beings, and I do read into body language and little subtle things. And the majority of the time, particularly when it relates to boxing, I've been correct when it comes to reading the fighters' body language and their behavior and whatnot. And long-time subscribers of mine, most of them will probably agree with that. They've seen me say, this fight is going to do this fight is going to do that, you watch. That's why I wasn't surprised. A lot of people were surprised with Vladimir Klitschko's performance against Tyson Fury. Oh my God, what was wrong with Vladimir? Did he get old overnight? What happened? And was he injured? No, it didn't surprise me, because I've been telling you that this is Vladimir's character. I said in my pre-fight video, if Vladimir feels any type of threat from Tyson Fury, he's not going to let his hands go. I said that in a pre-fight video because I know Vladimir psychologically. I know what he's like as a fighter. I followed his whole career. This is what he's like. If he feels a threat, the guy's not going to let any punches go. if he feels like there's not an opening there and there's a threat there, this guy is not going to be brave enough to throw anything. Yeah? So I've been good over the years in terms of reading a fighter's psychology. I'm not 100% accurate, definitely not. But, you know, not to toot my own horn, but I personally feel that's one of the things I have been good at, you know. And with Kovalev, yeah. Now, this may be totally irrelevant when it comes to the Andre Ward fight, because I don't think Andre Ward will be able to hurt Kovalev. He might be able to frustrate him, but I'd be surprised if he's able to hurt him. Will he be strong enough to push him back? Again, I've mentioned previously, the only way I see Ward winning the fight is if he can actually push Kovalev back in spots and bully him, physically bully him. If he's not physically bullying Kovalev, I don't see Ward winning the fight. I can't see it. I can't see him winning just by outboxing Kovalev and trying to outslick him. I just cannot see that. Kovalev cuts off the ring very well. He's got a good jab. He's got a longer reach than Andre Ward. He's got longer arms than Ward. Ward has got pretty short arms. He's quite a compact fighter, Andre Ward. I know they're around the same height, but Ward's upper body is much more compact than Kovalev. You know, he's got like quite a thick neck and narrow, compact shoulders and a pretty short reach. Now, he's quick with his feet normally because Carl Froch had much longer arms than Andre Ward, but Ward was still able to out-jab Froch and control things from the outside because he was so much faster than Froch. But I feel like Kovalev is better coordinated than Froch. He's got a better jab than Froch. He's no defensive wizard, but I do believe Kovalev is defensively better than Froch, and he's got much better balance than Carl Froch. That's one thing I can tell you about Kovalev. When I did my Andre Ward Carl Froch prediction, one of the reasons I was so heavily favoring Andre Ward in that fight was because of how good Andre Ward's balance was and how poor Carl Froch's balance was. That's something throughout the whole of Carl Froch's career that has always been a big weakness of his. Poor balance. Sergey Kovalev has very good balance. Very, very good balance. I'm not sure if it's quite as good as Ward's balance, but it's still very good. Yeah, that's why he's able to generate power in the blink of an eye. He's able to just, you know, land a shot without even thinking, I need to set myself. He's always set. He's like Gennady Golovkin in that sense. Golovkin also has tremendous balance. Golovkin will be stalking you all around the ring. Moving. But in the blink of an eye, he can throw a shot out of nowhere that can take your head off because his balance is that good. The guy's always on balance. Kovalev is very similar to that. Very good balance, much better balance than Carl Froch. So, yeah, I don't see Kovalev Ward being anything like Ward against Carl Froch. I just think Kovalev is just a much better fighter than Carl Froch. But it's going to be interesting. I think Ward definitely needs another tune-up fight, no question. I don't think he looked good enough against Barrera to convince me that he's ready for Kovalev at this stage. Whether or not he's got enough time to fit in another fight before fighting Kovalev in November, I don't know, because I've heard that the Kovalev team, Kathy Duver, have said that Ward has got until the end of June to take an interim fight. Apparently that's in the contract from what I've heard. If anybody has got information to the contrary, then please enlighten us in the comment section. But from what I've heard, Ward has got until the end of June to get in the next fight. And as I say, I do believe he needs that. He needs to sharpen up and look better than he did against Barrera. It's late. I'm tired. But we'll see how it goes, people. Let me know in the comment section below who you think is going to win this fight and why. As I say, I'm definitely leaning towards Kovalev at this stage. I think he's got good enough skills combined with his incredible punching power to keep Andre Ward very honest at the end of that ridiculously hard jab. And, Bernard Hopkins took a tremendous beating from Kovalev in the 12th round when Kovalev was trying to take him out. And he was trying to take him out. He took a tremendous beating. Hopkins is a fighter with a very different background to Andre Ward. Early on in Hopkins' career, remember, this guy was boxing in prison, folks. So just imagine how some of those fights were in prison for Hopkins. And when he came out of prison in his early boxing career, Hopkins was not the craftsman that many of you will know him as. Hopkins was more of a crude, come forward pressure fighter in his early days. Hopkins took a lot of punishment in some of his earlier fights. And I think that the punishment he took actually served him in good stead later on in his career from a mental point of view. I don't think Hopkins is as easy to intimidate. And don't get it twisted, Hopkins was intimidated by Kovalev's power. But this is my point. Even a guy like Hopkins, who, yes, he is old, he was intimidated by Kovalev's power. And Hopkins is a guy who can take a shot. Hopkins is a guy who has been in situations where guys are unloading on him and dropping him and hurting him. He's been in them situations before he got into the Kovalev fight. Andre Ward's never been there. Andre Ward's been so slick. His defense has been so good. Nobody's ever been able to really unload on this guy. There was only the one punch against Darnell Boone where he was really in any type of danger. Other than that, nobody's been able to land hardly any clean punches on Andre Ward to put him under any pressure. What happens when somebody does? Will he be as tough as Bernard Hopkins? I've got a feeling that he won't. I don't think he'll be that tough. I just don't. He's never had to be in a position where he's taken a beating. And if the first time that you have to take a beating is at the hands of Sergey Kovalev, that is the worst possible guy you could take a beating from for the first time. That is going to be like the shock of your life. So, I don't know, man. I'm definitely leaning towards Kovalev in the fight, man. I'm just trying to think of a way. Like I say, other than Ward pushing Kovalev back on the inside and trying to do what he did to Carl Froch, I can't see any way he's going to win. I can't see him outboxing him on the outside. If he stands in front of him and tries to trade, it's going to be... I don't think he's going to be around for very long. He can't afford to get hit with the jabs that he was getting hit with against Barrera because Kovalev will hurt him. Kovalev will target that shoulder because he's a mean guy and he's a strategic guy. He's going to target that shoulder and try to take it out. God, I think the only hope is to push Kovalev back, make it like the Alan Green fight where he's just constantly on the inside and mauling, and make it ugly, push Kovalev back, use that physical strength get Kovalev out of his rhythm, and then maybe he could do it. But that's going to be very tough to even be able to get into the positions where he's going to be able to push Kovalev back. I don't know. Andre Ward is very confident. That's one thing I can say. And why wouldn't he be? Ward has never lost a fight as an adult. To my knowledge anyway. The last time this guy lost, he was a child. I think he was like 12 years old or something. So if you've been to the Olympics and all these international amateur tournaments and you've become a world champion and beat a long list of top level fighters like Kessler, Froch and Dawson, etc. If you've been on that type of run, you be confident too. So he's confident of beating Sergey Kovalev. I've got no doubt in my mind. I mean, the kind of success that he's had, you can't even imagine the type of confidence that gives you being on such a long unbeaten run since you were 12 years old, and he's like 32 now. That's like 20 years unbeaten. He must be massively confident. Kovalev certainly hasn't been unbeaten for that long. So, yeah, Ward's confident, but he might just catch a rude awakening against the Crusher. We'll see. It's very interesting. Anyway, I'm waffling way too long in this video. It's turning into a flipping podcast here. Some people have actually asked me to do a podcast, and that's something I'm definitely considering. It's just all about time. The YouTube network that I'm with, they offer free, what is it called now? SoundCloud Plus or SoundCloud Pro, whatever it is. I know what SoundCloud is, obviously, but you get the pro paid for version with the YouTube network I'm with. But I haven't bothered to sign up for it yet. But maybe I will. Maybe I'll take that offer of getting that SoundCloud Pro or whatever it is, SoundCloud Plus, and see about starting a podcast, because apparently a lot of people use that for podcasting. So maybe I'll do that. We'll see. Anyway, all I know right now is I need to stop this video because I am waffling so badly. So drop your comments in the comment section below, people. Let me know how you felt about everything I raised in this video. It's your boy Hatman. I'm out.